again, everybody. Welcome to TV 15. We talk Muskogee Ruffer football. I'm Bill Huddleston, along with the coach of the Ruffers, Rafa Watkins. Year number 4. Wow. Now, is this a 4-year growth?
No, it's about a 4-day, but it's going to go on. It was good luck last year, so we need some luck, and we're gonna start doing that again.
Ruffers opened their season last Friday night in front of the home crowd, and it was a nice atmosphere. I know the game didn't come out the way you wanted it, all in all, but I think what we saw as the game progressed was a group of young men that refused to give up the fight.
Well, they did. You know, we started out, and we knew it was a great team. We knew we were going to have to be near our perfect because they had almost everybody back from last year's team that we went down there and beat 16-12. Come back here, you know, they were preseason ranked 2 or 3, depending on what state paper you look at. We were 5 or 6 again, depending on what you look at. And you know, they had the entire defense, and they're known for their defense down there. They do. They have their, I think, 3 Division I kids on there, and the Redmond kid was everything that he's built up to be. And I said it, you know, when I was at Alva, I coached against the Wes Welkers, Rashawn Woods and Donovan Woods from Millwood. Saw a lot of great athletes. Never have had a young man that was able to take over a game like he was, and he's just a tremendous athlete. Their secondary is as good as secondary. You know, I thought last year that Booker T had a pretty good secondary, but nothing compared to that group last week. And we knew we had our work cut out for us with a new offensive line group, and that was the other thing with their defensive line. At first, you know, we couldn't get anything with our offensive line. As it come along, I think they eased up, they loosened up a little bit, and they never quit, and they kept fighting hard, and I was really proud that we were able to win the battle in the second half. Too bad we'd already dug ourselves too big of a hole. You know, it's 26-0, and we got about 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and we kind of gathered up over on the sideline, and I said, guys, you know, we can give this thing up and get embarrassed, or we can fight back and see what happens. And I was glad that they fought back. And, you know, Khalil stripping the ball and getting the touchdown, you know, you never know where the key is going to come from. Well, that sparks where we got it, and then we started playing better offensively. The defense started running the ball better. And, you know, again, it was just a little too late, but at least we had that opportunity to kick the onside there at the end. We get it, we at least have a shot to throw it in the end zone and maybe get a victory. But they're a great football team, not taking anything away from them. I wish we would have played a little bit better, but I was proud of the young men, and you'll see even on one of the highlights that they have here today is it wasn't the best of plays, but it shows what never giving up will do for you, and you can do some good things. And so the fight that we had, the improvement that I saw during the course of the game taking place, we have a lot to build off of, and certainly we're not into moral victories. You know, if this was the first year I was here, I'd say this would be a moral victory. We're too far along now with this program to sit there and talk about moral victories. I don't care how good they are. We expect to win every ball game that we go out and do. But we didn't get the job done this last week. We're making corrections off of it. We're making some personnel changes, and we're going to go from there and get ready for McAllister.
26-20 was the final score last Friday night in the home opener against Midwest City. Let's roll our video, and we'll take a look at some of the highlights from last Friday night's game.
I think this first play is one of the ones I'm talking about of just never giving up on a play. We always talk about it. They have a big play to their tight end. He's, you know, an open, but we come through here, and John Smith and they work on ripping the ball every day. You know, they have about a 50-yard gain, but ultimately we get the ball back, and again, that's huge. That's just never giving up on a play. Even though it was a huge play for them to begin with, we never gave up. Michael Buchanan here with a big play. Michael had probably second best game of his career behind the Bixby game last year of coming through. I think he ended up with 8 or 9 tackles. Carrington Ashley, he had a great night. I think he ended up with 9 tackles as well. Khalil Smith, there's John with another batted down ball. That was on 4th down. I think this is Khalil's fumble recovery, and we get a touchdown out of this. Khalil ended up, and we're pretty tough on tackles. Khalil ended up with 17 tackles on the night and a fumble recovery for a touchdown, so he had a huge night. Jacob Madrano, here's his touchdown. This is the first play of the 4th quarter. This got us to 26-13. And then there's last score here that makes it to 26-20, and at least give us an opportunity to kick it onside with about 20 seconds left. We didn't get the onside, but again, the kids never gave up, and I was really proud of that.
It was nice to see, too, that the knock on Jacob had been the fact that he's not going to run out of the backfield. But when he realizes that, hey, if it's not there, I can tuck it and go and get yardage, that's a big plus for you, and it puts an extra pressure on the opposing defense.
Well, just like their quarterback was, a dual threat type quarterback, and we're not going to run. We're not saying that Jacob's going to be Jamel Holloway, but at least he can move around and give himself some time. He's going to have to here early on until this inexperienced offensive line gets to where they're a little more gelled. He's going to have to avoid some folks, and especially last week. Again, they're going to put pressure on a lot of folks, and so that was a good. Throw them into the fire, I guess you could say, test for our inexperienced linemen, and they got a lot of experience out of last week. I know one thing, I'm sure that our 2 tackles, along with myself, are sick of seeing that number 6.
Indeed. Well, when we come back, we're going to bring in one of the newest members to Muskogee High School, a person that is already making her mark in the success at Muskogee High School. New principal Kim Fleak will join us, and then a little bit later on, Coach and I will break down the pregame look at this week's contest against the McAllister Buffaloes. That as our show continues, Rafa football here on TV 15. Welcome back on TV 15. Rafa football here, and we're going to step away from the gridiron and come inside the classroom and kind of get a administrative look at high school at Muskogee, and we bring in the person who is carrying I guess we could say you're carrying the screwdriver, you're also carrying the stapler, and you're also carrying the calculator. Because this is Kim Fleak, the new principal at Muskogee High School. And Kim, welcome, first of all, to our TV show. But I know you've been a very, very busy person, but I know you're also very excited to have this opportunity.
I'm extremely excited. It's been a busy 3 weeks or so, but I'm thrilled to be here and loving every minute of being here at Muskogee High School.
What's been the most exciting thing for you? I know you've had to put together your administrative staff, but then also get to know all the teachers here as well.
I had the opportunity to put together, bring in 3 new assistant principals and 27 new teachers to Muskogee High this year. So that in itself has been exciting and challenging, but I think we've put together the perfect staff to lead us where we want to go. But I think all in all, the most exciting part of being here at MHS has been back in with secondary level students.
Now, before this year, you've been in the Muskogee system for quite a while in other capacities.
Yes. I've been in Muskogee schools since 1997, so started my career with Muskogee at Muskogee Alternative Program under Gary Biven, and was there for 11 years, teaching dean of students, and then as the principal there for 5 years. So,
Rafa, you know how important it is to have the right staff together. Of course, Kim's like you. You have to put together your coaching staff. She's had to put together her staff of assistant principals, but then the ability to interact with the real players in the situation, the students, it's key to have a young lady like this. And I emphasize the word young.
Well, I appreciate that part.
Well, she's done a great job so far. In our first couple of weeks, she interacts with the students quite well, and we've got discipline. That's the key. I think all the teachers are really wanting a good discipline principal, and she's put that in there. We're staying consistent with things. And again, I've known Kim a little bit from going when I go down to Irving Elementary, but then I heard more from Coach Platter and some of the others who've been around here forever like her, that that they knew her when she was at the alternative school and said she'll have great discipline and she'll do things right and she's there for the teachers. And that's what all teachers are wanting, somebody there for them, just like I think most assistant coaches want a head coach that they know is going to have their back as well, and that's the key.
Kim, what's the message you want people to know about Muskogee Public Schools, but specifically Muskogee High School, because it does create a tremendous learning environment for the students?
Right. I think our main goal is that we are a learning environment where our students are in this vehicle on this road to their future. We're just a small portion of what can lead to their college or career.
Okay, now last Friday night, I know you were at the game and involved in all the drama of Friday night football. You got a prediction on this Friday night's game? I know it's a road trip.
I don't think a road trip matters. I think we're going to take it.
Now,
the boys are promising me that we're going to take it.
Okay, Coach, you heard it. She just predicted the victory, and I'm sure that is there any type of pregame meal that you got designed for yourself?
No.
Oh, nobody's invited you
I don't get many meals.
I was going to say, if you're going to McAllister and you don't go to Pete's, something's wrong if you don't go over to Krebs and eat at Pete's. So.
Well, a person that's making a difference, leaving a footprint in the legacy and success of Muskogee High School, is the new high school principal at Muskogee, Kim Fleak. Get to know this young lady, because she will set the future and set the standard high for all students and improving our educational facilities here at Muskogee High. When Coach and I come back, we're going to talk about this week's opponent, the Buffaloes. A road trip to McAllister is on tap for Friday night. We'll do that when we return on TV 15.
Sing along. Yeah, you really got it going on. Wildcats in the house. Everybody say it now. Wildcats everywhere.
Welcome back on TV 15. Always good to have the high school boss in here with us to kind of give us her graces and her blessings, and she's already making a big difference. Now let's talk about this Friday night's game. Week 1 is in the past. You learn from those experiences and you build upon that. But you build upon it going against now a team that is also like the Ruffers, still looking for their first win. McAllister, who had a disappointing loss, having talked to their coaches, disappointing loss to Bartlesville.
Well, they're a very similar situation we are. They graduated a bunch of 2- and 3-year starters last year off their team that I think they were in the quarterfinals again down there in 5A. And you know, James and his staff do a great job, and they've got great tradition. I talked to him last Friday before the game. He really thought they had a great chance of beating Bartlesville, but if you watch the film, they made some mistakes early, much like we did, and dug themselves a hole. And again, much like us, they fought their way back and ended up getting beat by Bartlesville 30-25. But their pains are more so in their skill kids. They lost the Clusac kid from last year, who was all everything. Parker, their quarterback, who was, you know, an all-stater. So we're replacing linemen, they're replacing skill kids and trying to feel their way through that. In fact, the quarterback that was slated to start ended up not starting, and they had a wide receiver that went to the backfield as their quarterback, and they ran zone and zone option out of it. So it'll be interesting to see who we see, you know, this week, whether it'll be their throwing quarterback, who's a sophomore. We played him last year in a JV game. He's a big kid, 6'4", 205, or if we see the more, you know, speed-oriented quarterback that'll run in the zone read. But they, again, they got tradition rich. They're like us, like you said, 0-1, looking for a victory. We put it to them pretty good last year, you know, and they're like us on the numbers. They've got a lot of kids going both ways. We've tried to correct that this week. We've tried to get it to where we don't have but maybe one. Devin Hillman right now is the only young man that we've got that's going to be going both ways very much. We knew we were tired, and especially early in the year. Now, when we get a little bit later on in the season, you know, in a district playing the big ball games, Bixby and Booker T, we may have 2 or 3 more going both ways. But for right now, we're going to try to get everybody that we can just playing one way and helping us out there. So hopefully we can wear them out a little bit as the game goes along.
Let's talk about the points of emphasis for the Ruffers against McAllister. Like you said, you have to learn from the mistakes of a week ago, eliminate those errors, and then do what we do.
Well, the thing is, we've got to be able to run the ball more effectively than what we did last week. You know, they're blitzing people, that's fine. We know on our zone where we're blocking an area, not a person, so it shouldn't matter how many people they bring. But our running game, for us to be efficient, like, you know, just like last year, Elijah and them in the first game, when we won this one, we had over 150 yards rushing. The other night, we had 82. You can't win big ball games staying under 100 yards unless you throw for 350, which we didn't do that either. We was 239 the other night throwing with 3 interceptions. So, you know, we're just looking to be more efficient offensively. We've got to give Jacob some time. If Jacob gets the time along with some of the receivers that we have, we can pick people apart. But the other night, we just didn't have time. Not to mention the fact that they were in our passing lanes and we were so tall, how many balls that they batted down. So, I think Coach is doing a great job with our offensive line right now. We're going to do some different things this week to prepare us for McAllister. But we're going to see a total different type of athlete, so we should be able to do a lot of the things that we like to do with our quick passing game and even get some time to throw. But we're really concentrating on our run game because you can't win big games ultimately if you can't run the ball.
Well, the Ruffers will try to put all the pieces back together again, get on the buses and make the road trip to Hook Hill Stadium in McAllister. It is a 7 o'clock kick. We will have our live stream broadcast beginning on Ruffer.tv at 6:30 for the pregame show and the opening kick there at 7 o'clock. And hopefully, Coach, that bus ride home will seem like just a short, sweet dream when the Ruffers come home and win number 1.
Well, we certainly hope so, and that's what we plan on doing.
So we hope that you'll invite us into your homes or wherever you may be watching each and every week here on TV 15. Thanks again to Kim Fleak, principal of Muskogee High School, for being our guest, and for Coach Rafa Watkins. I'm Bill Huddleston. Until we meet again, remember, it's always a great day to be a Ruffer.